baby, it's time to ride the funk train. So what are you going to do about it? Hold on 1 second. Oh, my goodness.
Hello.
What are you doing?
So I am currently making signs for my yard sale.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Right?
I didn't know you did regular stuff.
Oh, where'd you go?
Surprise.
I
I didn't know you did regular stuff like a regular person.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes over me every once in a while. Not often.
I thought you said you got like a big, gigantic dumpster and you threw everything away already.
We did most things, but I still keep finding things, and we're having a community yard sale because we have an HOA, so we can only do yard sales like twice a year. So we're doing
so
it
you
this
gotta.
year.
So it's where are you having it at your house, or do you have like okay? I've never lived in a condo. I've always wanted to, but you don't live in a condo, do you? You live in
No.
And you have an HOA.
Yep.
Do you have to pay fees every month?
It's every quarter, and it's actually not that bad. It winds up to be like $3 a month.
Oh, that's not bad. But you got to cut your own grass and stuff too, right?
Yeah, and we have to keep our property has to look a certain way, or we can get fined.
It sounds like communist China. Oh,
let's just say it's, huh?
No, what?
I was like, let's just say it's not a neighborhood a libertarian would normally live in. So
right, I bet that would fly all over me to have to pay somebody $3 a month for nothing. For nothing. All right, let's see what's going on here. What do we got? Oh my goodness, interesting. We haven't had a podcast in a couple weeks, maybe like 13 days. And right when we were going live, I spilled like an old Diet Coke all over me, and for some reason, I just found out now Facebook we weren't live on Facebook, so I had to fix that. So it's just weird.
It's weird.
But how are you doing, dude? You said you doing all right? You feeling good?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Get ready to start up teaching music from my house.
Why would you do such a thing? That sounds horrible.
I don't know. I mean, it's money, money, money.
Really? You making money on that?
Yeah, you make money on it.
With music?
Yeah.
You and Luke are getting into that.
Right? I mean, hey, $25, $30 a lesson for half an hour. It's not too bad.
That's highway robbery. You can pay your HOA fee, though, for a whole year.
I can.
With 1/2 hour. Well, that's pretty interesting.
Exactly.
So are you doing piano or what? The flute or what?
Piano.
Yeah.
Teaching piano.
Yeah. Pretty. And for people that don't know, not only are you a talented actress and someone in the independent film universe, but you're an excellent piano player, and you do the weddings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do like what kind of songs do you play there? You do the Electric Slide.
I do a little bit of do some Guns N' Roses, Dr. Dre.
What song by Dr. Dre do you do at the wedding?
Still by Dr. Dre.
How's that one go?
I just know my part. I just know my part.
That sounds pretty exciting. So right? Folks, if you want to hear that, start crashing some weddings around East Tennessee. If you need to hear more of that sample.
I know. That's exciting, isn't it? Hey, but you liked our Britney Spears thing that we put out, so that wasn't too bad.
Well, it's you and a violinist, your little tag team, and it's that Britney Spears song. It's like the strings go whatever. It sounds like a screaming
just like
cat.
That.
Something pretty close, within about 20%.
It's toxic.
Toxic, that's right. That's a pretty impressive violin part. Or as they call it here, fiddle. Speaking about around here, our buddy and fourth horseman of Big and Funky Productions, Candy Thompson, was in town this week. and she's probably just leaving today or yesterday or this morning. Maybe last night. I don't know. I don't know what she did. I guess this morning she went back, but she was in town, and we were supposed to get together for 2 exciting nights of filming, but she has young babies, so we only got to get together with her for 1. But we got together with her when we went down to do a redo of one of our investigations where we botched, and when I say we, I mean Luke Walker, botched the footage, erased all of the footage that we had of an investigation we had at a place called the Greenback Castle in Greenback, Tennessee. I think it's very cool how the Greenback Castle, the coincidence of it actually being in Greenback, Tennessee, as opposed to being in like Oak Ridge and Knoxville or Fountain City or something like that. But you've never heard of the place before we talked about it, correct?
Right.
And you were there. We had a
Yeah.
nice chunk. We had 9 big and funkians. Brokeback Castle, as somebody said in the chat. But
things happen. We just don't talk about it.
Yes, there was a lot of stuff that happened at the castle. Now, well, tell the people, what are your impressions of the Greenback Castle? What do you think?
Well, I'm actually very impressed that the guy built it all by hand, by himself. That was pretty impressive. The stories and the prophecies he kind of has so ingrained in himself kind of was fascinating to me. But there's a heavy feeling whenever you get out of your car and you walk up onto the property. Almost like a sadness.
Without further ado, when we're talking about heavy, this is the one person that we would not mention. It's Tracy Yates, maybe the least heavy person I know. But we're talking about the Greenback Castle. You look pretty today, dear, with the soft glow.
I'm washed out.
That's all good. It's better to be washed out than covered in fecal matter. You know what I mean? Would you not agree?
I would agree, but I have no experience in the matter.
Come on now, you're a mother. You know. I'm sure you've been covered in fecal matter a couple times. It just goes with the territory.
I have like dexterity.
Very good. Well, Amber was talking about how the Greenback Castle, Wrestling with Ghosts, filmed there, and how she felt like it was heavy walking up to the castle. Would you agree, or do you have a different opinion because you were there longer than anybody Monday night?
Well, walking up. Sorry, the video's shaking because the cat's scratching.
Okay. At least I can hear you this week.
Yeah, that's because I'm using the computer. I figured I could look like crap and sound decent. So anyway, when I got there during the day, that whole castle felt very whimsical, like some very creative and it was quite creative with the things that he put in the cement, like everywhere. And
have either one of you ever seen anything like that ever?
No, I've never seen anything like that. Like I've dreamt of doing stuff like that.
To me, it looked like, well, what it is for anybody that's interested is we went there a couple years ago. One of Travis's girlfriends was hip to the place, and it was a roadside attraction. It's like listed on. There's like places you can go, and if you're interested in going to roadside attractions and seeing the crazy, and like the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota by Weird Al Yankovic and stuff like that. This is the biggest rocking chair in the Midwest and stuff like that. It's one of those types of places, and it's a castle that one man has built by himself, and he's infusing his personal life and his theology and his homegrown, uneducated views about science into the walls of this place. And I put for this
not tied down.
Say what?
The cinder blocks are not tied down in a lot of really frightening locations. So
it's not up to code, and it reminds me a little bit of the Preacher's Tree House that was in Crossville, Tennessee, which was this giant tree house made out of wood that they finally had to shut down because the state had to come in and say the Preacher's Tree House didn't have any sprinkler systems in it. And when you thought of that, you're like, Jesus Christ, if the Preacher's Tree House caught on fire, which was like a 5-story tree house, which was not up to code. It was like some guy just went out there and with plywood and 2x4s and made this giant you're like, everybody would have frickin' died. There was no way. That tree house was so big in Crossville that there was actually a basketball court in the middle of it. That's how big
Oh
the
my
tree house was.
word.
It was awesome. It was a cool place.
so bad.
But the state, we're all libertarians, but I think the state maybe got that one right, where they were like, you know what, you need to have a sprinkler system, because that would have been a horrifying scene. It was always packed with people too. But anyway, this is a place that's not up to code. Like Tracy said, cinder blocks, you could yank them off and stuff like that. But it looks like a castle in some spots. It looks like, but this guy's all about God, right? Like he's always talking about Christianity, God. There's a lot of stuff about Jesus. But the thing about the castle that I think is probably the most striking is that it's incredibly macabre and it's incredibly twisted. There's a torture chamber room.
Yeah,
there's
every castle needs a torture chamber, and I'm looking at him like, does it really?
Right.
This day and age?
Yeah, that's right next to the Bible room. But there's a pet cemetery, which in pictures looks really daunting. There's all sorts of imagery, occult-like imagery. There's a tree. What we showed up, Tracy, and I think you and I don't know if it was you and Kirby or somebody was looking at the tree, and there was some sort of language, and it looked very.
Yes.
I don't want to say evil, but it
was me and Tracy and Kirby. I think I got it actually on the big camera. The tree with the Nordic symbols all in it.
Nuts. And I have, that was, I don't know what language that was. I know it wasn't anything that used any sort of Arabic alphabet or anything that we would know. It was pretty crazy looking. So there's all sorts of occultic type imagery infused in the walls, recipes for something called happy food, his theories on gravity, his theories. And then what was you took a video and you posted it this week, Amber. What was it was a gangster ass line. If you don't know where it came from, how do you know where it's going? He puts things. Yeah, or he puts all these weird inscriptions. There's art everywhere.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and there's rooms that make no sense. And it's open till 8:00. It's located in Greenback, Tennessee, and you should go see it. Now, we've never heard that it was haunted. I don't know why we went down there to do any sort of investigation to begin with. And when I posted something about it this week, I've had a couple people who were mad at me because they thought that man is a sweet man and he's all about light and love and Jesus. But Candy said something very interesting. I think everybody there picked up on it, that the man, and I'm paraphrasing what Candy said, but I think you guys can elaborate too. The man infused his own darkness into the structure of the place.
Yes.
And Tracy talked to this guy for a long time, and she may have a new sugar daddy. I don't know. From what I heard, it was a nice situation going on for her, potential income. But but as nice and as jovial and as friendly as the old man was, there was a lot of dark. The inside of the structure, there was a dichotomy. You would have something something about Jesus over here, and then the other wall you'd have something with totally different flavor. And it was just to me, it made it almost feel like, I guess it made it feel like you were inside of somebody's dream.
Yes.
Like almost like The Cell with Jennifer Lawrence and Vince Vaughn, if you've ever seen that. It's like from room to room, you're walking like there's a chessboard with 3 pieces on it. You know, it's like, okay, this is a weird room. And then you go to the next room and it's just a strange place. So
human remains, like the ashes.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
and that's
people leave like memorials to their deceased loved ones in the castle, like it's some sort of shrine or something. It's got such a weird mix of energies and weird.
Where did I remember? Because somebody was jumping all over me because they thought I was picking on the guy because I said the man was eccentric. You could say a lot more. I was trying to be polite. You could use other adjectives for this guy. He was friendly to us. He let us stay. He let us shoot until about 2 a.m, and there were neighbors all around. And we had a big crew there, and we kind of try to keep quiet. But when we get together, we all laugh and stuff. We were probably irritating human beings. But
boys, sorry.
Well, the twins were Cody and Nick Martino were loud as hell. They were the loudest ones.
They were loud.
But where were the ashes? And so when I said I was posting this on Facebook to promote this podcast and also our future episode of Wrestling Ghosts, people were angry because they thought I was picking on the guy, and they were like, he's a Christian, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, he might be a Christian, but you know, that was pretty wild in there. I think Vlad the Impaler was a Christian too. That seemed to, I mean, we're walking towards that Gothic type vibe. So with that being said, I never knew where the ashes were. Was it sprinkled around the structure?
It was in a bag labeled with the name.
In the room with the doll and the radio, like that next room over,
before you get
where the ashes were.
Oh, you're talking over each other. Where now?
Go ahead, Amber.
It's on the so whenever you went into the room with the radio and like that big wall of all those papers, there's that next room over, the one in between where that room and where the bed is. That's the room where the ashes were. It was a whole bag.
A Ziploc bag?
No,
it was a plastic bag where it was like heat press clothes at the top.
It reminded me of like the patient belongings, kind of like that kind of weight of bag.
But it was clear, see-through, so you could see all the ashes.
Yeah.
Who was that? Who was that person?
I did not make note of the name of the deceased.
I mean, was it a friend or a relative, or was it a human being?
No, it was just someone who liked the castle. And
so right now, somebody could get in their car and drive down to the Greenback Castle. Conveniently, you all right? How close was that to your head? I wasn't looking at you. Good grief. Good thing you didn't keep your collection of knives up there.
Jeez.
Well, anyway, it scared me to death. Actually, you don't need to
death.
Yeah.
Broke my whole dang apartment.
So somebody could drive down right now. Oh, that's the room divider she bought for me.
I can have it.
No refunds. But you could drive down to the Greenback Castle right now and go in there and grab a human being's ashes if you know where to look, and just pick them up and take them with you.
Yep.
And they're not sealed off. They're not locked in anything. It's just that was where
there.
Well, that was where everybody, Kirby she's been in our movies, and she's a part of Big and Funky Productions too. She's been on the podcast, Redheaded Lady, Sister Stormy in WJHC, and the boob girl from the first movie. So anyway, she is very sensitive to spiritual jive. I don't know what you would call it. I don't know what she'd call herself, but she's had a lot of spiritual stuff. In fact, she reminds me a lot of you, Amber, with a lot of the darkness and stuff from your history and how that correlates into the spiritual world or whatever. And she was we had her holding the camera in one part, and she was freaking the hell out in the room that I think you're talking about. You're talking about there's like 3 little rooms
Yes.
And from what I understand, it's like a youth group room, right? Like you're supposed to have children. Like there was dolls in one spot.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the dolls were and stuffed animals were all on the bed, and it had a little thing saying, "Take one, please." I get Dusty. I took a baby doll. It's in the back of the car. Yeah, Billy Boneless has a baby now.
Oh God, they were all covered in looked like powdered shit. I can't believe you took one.
I took it was all plastic. I took the one that was like straight plastic. I could dip it in bleach if I needed to.
I would also boil it in water and set it on fire and have it blessed by a priest. But
yes.
Those
Kirby
toys
and
was
I both were like, "Don't take it. Don't take it home. Don't take it."
It didn't feel gross to me.
Well, there's also, the spiritual attachment jive with that stuff, because that was in the room where Kirby said there was a dark entity that was there with a young woman and an older woman, or a mother and child. And so anyway, it was pretty buck wild.
Right.
And when we went there the first time, there was noises, and in a place like that, you have no idea what's in the walls. You have no idea what animals are inside of the bricks and the cinder blocks, and because it's like the house that Jack built. Each room is totally different. Some are falling apart. It looks like something out of Resident Evil 4. You just have to see it to believe it. It's
Silent Hill.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Each room, nothing makes sense. I used to have dreams. Speaking about that, it's like being in somebody's dream. I used to have dreams about being in a house where every room was constructed differently, and there were like platforms you had to jump on, and it would always drive me crazy when I was asleep. I hated that, and that's kind of what it felt like in there. Like nothing made sense. It's kind of like that Madam, what's her name, out of California, where she thought she was a fortune teller, told her if she heard construction, she would never die. So she paid somebody like construction people to keep adding onto her house. I can't remember her name, but there's a house out in California. It's just got steps leading to nowhere, and like,
it's not the Winchester house, is it?
Yes, I think it is. And then you like, there's nothing that makes sense. There's doors leading to nowhere, and then and newsflash, she died anyway. So the fortune teller was wrong. Maybe the guy took a coffee break or something, and that's when she dropped dead. But anyway, it really bothered me. And we went down there about a year and a half ago. I think it was before we started filming The Hike, if memory serves. I think it was, or around the time that we started filming The Hike, which was in 2020. And there was a chess room, which basically there was only like a chessboard, a couple seats, but it was a plain room for the most part. There wasn't a whole lot going on in it. And we had a chess piece move and on camera, and it was freaky deaky because same thing we did Monday where you were trying to play the guy in chess. We did the same thing. I'm sure we're probably the millionth people that have tried to do that. And Monday, we might have had the chess piece move, but the original footage was lost because Luke was formatting something and it screwed up the hard drive, and we lost all the footage. It's terrible. So that's why we went back. We might have captured the piece moving again. It also could have been my hip moving the piece, but I think I got to check the footage. Nobody's checked the footage, but it looks like the chess piece might have moved twice. And we're saying move. It's not huge movements. One looked maybe like half of a space, and the one before was almost a full space. One might have been my hip. I don't know. But if not, we'll check the footage and see what happened. But there's definitely activity. So each of you go and tell us a little bit about your personal experience that you had. How about you, Tracy? You go first and say what you found interesting on the tour, and if anything spiritual happened. You're normally, I call you the cooler, because when we do paranormal stuff, a lot of stuff doesn't happen when you're around. But you said that you kind of were feeling a little funky Monday.
I was, and I'm now at this point, I question it. I'm not sure that like what I was getting was just my imagination or whatever. I have no idea. But in the moment, it felt like I was being fed the answers that Amber was asking the questions of, and it was odd, and I don't know what to make of it. And yeah.
Do you remember any of the questions and answers?
Like,
Because like she would ask a question and then you would say something and me and Amber were like, shush, what are you doing? You're talking. But then you were like, I'm feeling like I'm getting the answers fed to me. So do you remember any of the answers and the questions or anything like that from Monday?
The mother and the daughter were like of his brother who had passed, and the mother and the daughter passed shortly thereafter, and Amber was asking how old the daughter was, and I just spouted out 6. And I may be like remembering wrong. I don't know. I have no idea.
One that I remember, and I had a huge day that day. So remembering anything from that day is quite remarkable. Amber said something about, I thought this was dark. This almost sounded something like out of an action movie. Amber asked you something about, or asked any of the, you know how ghost hunters do. We're just asking the darkness like an idiot. It's like we're fishing. We're just standing on the side of the hill with a fishing pole in the water. But she was just asking, are you still here? And Tracy, and something along those lines. And Tracy said something along these lines. She said, it wants you to know that none of us are here for very long. And I was like, that's some straight cold gangster shit that comes off the fly. And I know Tracy, and that doesn't sound like something Tracy would spout off.
No.
So you have to
with my mouth.
Right. With your ear, maybe. I don't know, but like, yeah, you wouldn't normally come up with something that dark. So he gave you were there early to kind of, we couldn't get there until about 11 o'clock and the thing closed at 8. So you went there and you did the team a big favor, and you got there at 7 and you flirted with the guy enough to let us film.
Right at 7 too.
Huh?
Amber was there too.
Okay. Well, both of you were. And so I thought she was late.
I was there like 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
Okay. So you both were there. You both did the team a favor, and thank you for that. But so what was Tracy, what was some of the interesting stuff he said on the tour?
Oh. So the funniest thing that Mr. Banks said, it was an anecdote from his life. He apparently was quite the playa back in the day. Apparently he was very good looking. He told me a story about one time he was necking, like just making out with
1950s.
Yeah, way back.
Vernacular.
He was making out with a young lady at the back of the building. He was making out with a lady at the front of the building, like at the same time, and then running over to his house to make out with this third girl. And he's literally like running back and forth. And me and Amber had a really funny idea for a skit, and we should totally film it. Where it's you are playing the part of Mr. Floyd Banks, and Julie is each one of the girls dressed in a different
wig.
Yeah, like a different wig, different outfit. But
we call them the redneck Hugh Hefner.
Yes.
Well, I think he was probably saying that story for your benefit, but
I was being very honest with my face. Like I adore little men, but like I'm not in that way. No.
Well, I mean, yeah. So but maybe he could pay your water bill. That's all I'm saying. But that may be what he said. Maybe you can up that to the electric or your car insurance or something. But it's interesting. I don't know how many women would want to start making out with people at that place, because it feels like, at least at this point, that it's covered in a lot of pollen, and a lot of grime and a lot of, I don't know. I didn't feel sexy at that place, and I feel sexy in a lot of places, but not there. I had to take a shower when I got home immediately. I mean, I was very exhausted. Amber was probably exhausted too, but I had to shower after that place. So, what was one of your personal experiences?
Rotting in flower beds. Books,
Say what?
rotting in flower beds. He put books in flower beds. If it's not haunted just from that, it ought to be.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want. Anybody that watches this podcast, I want them to be like, this place is worth a trip. Definitely. Because it's so weird. I mean, it just seems like it's a place that does not exist and would never exist. So, Amber, you got a little conversation going. Can you talk about one of your personal experiences at the Greenback Castle?
So one of the most interesting stories that I got from him was whenever he showed us the 3 plaster images where he said it predicted the coronavirus that came, where one image was supposedly a face of a man with Asian features, with his mouth open and with his mouth pointed towards the other picture, which was an outline of an old man. And he said that was the prediction of the coronavirus because it attacked the elderly people first. And the image that appeared in the middle was like this younger person. It looked like they were laughing. And so it was the evil laughing at the terror done by the coronavirus.
What room was that in?
It was on the outside wall as you're walking back to the room with the doll.
Did you film that?
I did. I have all the stories. Yeah.
Did you not? Why did you ask him why he didn't call the news when he saw that?
He said that people have a hard time believing things if you tell them before it happens.
Well, shit, he could have saved a lot of people's lives.
Right?
That brings up another.
I'm sorry, that's a prediction that it's only clear in hindsight.
Right? It could have been, it could have been a comedy team of Wong and Wong and Schultz who do skits for kids. I mean, I here's the thing: this is an interesting thing. So you're right. People don't listen to stuff beforehand. But we now know what happened with the coronavirus and what are we doing as a society and a world to make sure that doesn't happen again, because the government interfered with the economy and has wrecked the country. We're all libertarians, and we said you can't give people free money and tell people to quit working, and inflation wouldn't happen. And look where we are today. And we don't want that to happen again, because we were talking about people can't afford houses before the coronavirus, and now people definitely can't afford houses now, and people can't afford gas, and of course gasoline and fuel trickles down to everything because everything has to be transported, so the costs of everything are going to go up. So this is all stuff. There needs to be a government group of people or some sort of committee to prevent infectious disease, pandemics, and endemics, and also start funding a safety net again. Because that's the lesson from the last 2 years. And also in this day and age, everybody politicizes everything, even a damn virus. But interesting. So there you go, folks. I mean, this guy has predictions in his walls, which I didn't know until Amber told me. It's a good place for makeouts if your girl is she's not a germaphobe. A lot of religious original thoughts, which I think are interesting. Like the one thing, he doesn't have a lot of Bible verses everywhere. It's things that he kind of comes up with for the most part. Now, there's probably are a couple Bible verses in there, but and the recipe.
He basically said that God tells him and it channels him to write these things, and
it's a dark place too. People were all over my ass on social media they thought I was picking on the guy and saying that he was evil or something. And
no, it's different.
But if you look at it, you're right too, Tracy. It is different after dark because it is colorful in the daytime and innocent looking. And then at darkness always kind of changes things that way and shifts things that way. But it's also, like we said, it's like if this was parts of him, intimate parts of him, there's a lot of darkness there in this guy's life, and there's a lot of darkness in this place, and because that's how every human being is. There's dark parts to every soul. So it's not just saying he's a bad person or sneaky or he has secrets. It's just he has put whatever he's wanted to display. He is eccentric. I don't care if that offends anybody. He is eccentric. That's the definition of eccentric.
The feeling I got from it was literally that was the impression and like almost like a steep sadness.
Yeah.
And that was the energy that I felt as soon as I got out of my car. And it was like just grief. There was just a lot of, it was nothing evil or malevolent. It was just more just sad. The whole place is just kind of sad.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. Mm-hmm.
It's wild. It'll make a good episode. And when I get done with that, we'll have like a 3-pack promo where I think not only will these episodes be available on Asai TV, they'll be available on the Shriek TV and Saltbox, but I'll probably have them for sale pay-per-view on the website. We got Candy saying, I think he may possibly be a flat earther. He had his whole density and buoyancy versus gravity thing he wrote in a few different squares. Well, that
1,000%. 1,000%.
That hurts. That hurts the guy. That hurts the credibility of the guy. So you may not want to go there for the science. Maybe just the religion and the weirdness.
No.
Go for the pet cemetery and stay for the infantago that you'll get by touching the walls.
And enjoy the test room.
Oh, sorry.
The what?
The
What'd
chest
you say,
room.
Amber?
I said enjoy the chest room because it was pretty crazy there. I was excited to kind of lead that bit of the investigation. That was fun.
Yeah. We had 9 people. There was Kirby. There were the twins. You two, me, Big Luke, Candy, and Justin, her husband.
Yep.
So we had quite the force. Travis was not there because he's a flake, and he's getting close to being written up by the Big and Funky HR. Speaking of Big and Funky HR, Amazon new horror releases, WJHC and The Hike charted pretty high this week. So congratulations to everybody. WJHC hit number 9 on the new horror releases this week. We're very proud of that. It's got a 5-star rating just about everywhere. So if you haven't seen it, let me tell you, if you watch this is how you'll help out everybody. In June, they're going to repitch everything, and the more entanglements, God damn it, Jada Pinkett Smith, ever since that freaking situation with her and Will Smith, engagements, not entanglements, the engagements, if you go to IMDb or if you go to Amazon, if you purchase the DVD, if you can give us a rating, if you can get us a review, that increases the engagements, not entanglements, and that will help pitch the movie to streaming services. The fact that it's black and white, the fact that it's kind of controversial is probably hurting it at this point, and it needs to be seen that it's adored. And if it's adored on IMDb and Amazon and all these other websites, it's easier to sell. And once it gets on streaming, then everybody's going to realize how freaking good this movie is. It's the best movie we've made so far. Very proud of The Hike, but this movie is a complete freaking just a masterpiece, and a lot of it had to do, I think, with either God or the Greenback Castle or some sort of whatever. So if you have purchased the movie, or if you just want to help out, if you can go to our websites, IMDb would be a big one, or Amazon or anything like that, and rate it. And you can rate The Hike too while you're there. It would help us out with streaming as we film Camp Smokey, and me and Luke are having some discussions on tonal changes with Camp Smokey. So me and him are going to have to talk about what we want to do, because we're having a little bit of a difference of opinion on how the movie should look and be presented. So we're still, and so I posted something today about my mental health, and I'm very tired after doing everything for the last 2 years of these movies. And I just realized a lot of it had to do with the movies. So I think after maybe this third one, I'm going to take a break for a couple months because people spend 2 years to make a movie, and we're making our third movie within 2 years. And we don't have 3,000 people helping us. It's all really a very skeleton crew of people. And a lot of the editing and stuff falls on my shoulders, which is what takes a lot of time. And it's starting to get on my nerves, to be honest with you. And I want Camp Smokey to be wonderful. And I think it will be. I want that to be our best movie. But in the meantime, check out WJHCAM. You guys got anything else tonight?
I almost got eaten by a bear yesterday.
Yeah, tell us that story.
So I was going to try and hang out with Candy because Candy is down very rarely. It was team building exercise. That's how I justified it. So I go up there to Gatlinburg and I park behind Puckers, and I'm like, the door at the back of Puckers is locked, and you're not supposed to go through there. Like, according to Gatlinburg police, like 7 years ago, the sign says, and like, I've used that door.
And we don't want anybody to do that anyway, because that is against restaurant policy.
So, but I previously I've been bad. I tried to be bad again, and I was barred from being bad. So I went to like go back out the other end of that parking lot, and lo and behold, underneath that little construction trailer that's behind there is a bear that is like the size of Luke if he's all like hunched over and like bear postured. And I'm like, oh, hello, Mr. Bear, please go away. I'm dancing and singing a song to him, waving my arms around, and he like backed up. But yeah,
they're cool. I mean, they're cool. I mean, the thing about if you're in Gatlinburg, which I used to work there all the time in Gatlinburg, and we would see bears all the time, and people from Ohio and the other places like, oh my God, there's a bear. And we were like, so what? People, these things are acclimated to humans. Now it gets dangerous because if you're from Ohio, I'm talking to you, don't pet the bear, don't approach the bear, don't feed the bear, because you'll end up getting that GD bear killed, because he's going to think that all people are nice. Yeah, he's going to think they don't know their own strength. And so if he's going to try to grab a bag of Cheerios out of your hand, he may rip your kid's hand off, and then he'll be murdered. So, or she'll be murdered, and we don't want that. So we love the bears. Yeah. So yeah, hey, how you doing?
Cricket. Oh my goodness.
She caught a cricket.
I'm calling Peter.
His name is Mr. Cricket.
His name's Mr. Cricket.
Really? Is it? How do we know this?
Is his first name Jiminy?
Mr. Hopper.
Is his first name Jiminy?
Yes.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
He's famous.
Oh, tell Mr. Vinny what you're excited to do.
She don't know.
I'm gonna be dead.
I love you, child. Oh my word. I'm gonna be dead.
I'm gonna capture that screen because nobody knows what the hell she's talking about. I'm gonna capture that clip. Tell Mr. Vinny what you're excited to do.
Mama, will my cricket?
I'm going to be dead. I am.
Mama, what do crickets eat?
Leaves.
All right,
so give him some leaves.
She's going to be. Get him a cheeseburger. She's going to be in the movie as a dead body. So that's exciting for children.
She's so excited.
Speaking of dead bodies, you guys were in a movie that won Best Director, Logan's Chapel by Skylar, and you were the cadaver, and Amber was some sort of marauding evil person, and won at FrankenCon. And so last week, I went out, and Amber was the only one that went out, and I went out to see her at Central Cinemas, which is really a cool little shindig place down there.
Yeah.
Little movie theater downtown Knoxville, one of those little artsy fartsy. I don't want to sound like an old man, and anybody under 35 years of age is a hipster, but it looks like a little hipster place down there. It's really pretty cool though. But congratulations to Skylar. He's a buddy, and his mom's got a thing for me, and I can't help that. But Hey, Sean, what you doing? Hey, follow me yet? What is everybody's sending me messages about following them? First of all, if you're not paying for gas, I'm not following anybody, and I need to know where we're going. I got a lot of stuff on my plate. I gotta edit a damn wrestling match tonight, a wrestling show somebody out of Chicago put. I don't have time to follow people around. If you're not going anywhere interesting, forget about it. If
Forget about it.
If we're going to eat sushi on your dime, I am going to follow you. I'm just kidding. Sean Hussey has one of these, like an Instagram, TikTok situation, and he tours Gatlinburg and shows everybody the nooks and crannies of that wonderful place. Evil Tacos is coming out. Speaking of that, so we're going to be shooting that later in the summer. You guys got anything else? Because there's actually a pressing matter that I have to take care of. I may have to end the podcast a little early tonight.
Nope, I'm good. I actually have to go because I have children yelling for me. So
tell them children to look forward to them being dead. I do have
she literally the other day, she's like, "Mom, I can't wait to be a dead baby." And I'm like, "What?"
Okay, I'll end with this. So you guys know I'm a wrestler, and one of my arch rivals was a guy named Bob O'Mac, who is this Bible. I always call him a Bible trivia player. He never swear. He doesn't swear. He doesn't drink. He had mutton chops. He's Irish. He's in real good shape. And I was kind of the antithesis. I was kind of hairy and funky and had a nasty afro, and I was his arch rival or whatever in wrestling. So good versus evil. But in real life, we were really good friends. He's one of my favorite people. And my daughter played this Nintendo Wii game, or we both did together, and it was a Japanese game, and the title of it was Fragile Dreams. So his sweet wife was sitting there talking to my daughter. My daughter was young at the time, and she goes like, "Hey, Greta, what do you like to do in your free time?" And Greta just kind of does this thing. She goes, "I have fragile dreams." And then Beth's face like, and it's like, it sounds like one of the scariest things. If you didn't know that was a weird, obscure Japanese role-playing game, you'd be like, what in the hell? This kid is possessed by 7 demons. Fragile dreams? Anyway,
oh my gosh.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, because they definitely weren't hip on that. You good, Tracy?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You feel good about it?
I'm about to start selling these.
These boobs or what? Crochet halter tops? You're the crochet queen. That's what you need to do. That you need to start an Etsy store. That's your ticket. All right, guys. Big and Funky Productions loves you. Check out Wrestling with Ghosts. Check out crochet tit slings or whatever else we're selling, and wedding music and our movies.
GoFundMe.
Oh yes, thank you. Yes, if you want to help out, we actually had 2 people. They donated $100 each this week. Yeah. I want to thank you. If you want to be in the movie, you can be the movie as a dead baby or a dead man or a dead woman or adolescent. It'll help us out. You can be in the movie. It's going to be one of the most iconic shots in the Big and Funky movie trilogy so far. So go to our GoFundMe, which is Camp Smokey spelled SMOKEY, and you can help us out because we need a few things. We need T-shirts, we need makeup, we need rubber hammers, we need to pay the camp that we're going to film at. So all that jive, we are a few bucks shy, and you will help us make our 3rd movie, which I'm sure will win 75 Oscars. God bless you all. Support Big Luke. If you want to hear music in Gatlinburg, there's just all of us are all the time doing awesome things in between us crying for hours on end. Take care. God bless you. See you next week.